I made another mistake when I assembled the jack. I put the handle on the wrong way so it was in the way for the air intake. That wasn't too difficult to handle. I simply cut it off and glued it back on in the correct position. The jack's handle's in the right position. Here you can see the cutaway to accommodate the air intake. And you can see that long PE part that'll be almost invisible later. And this makes clear how I happened to make that mistake. Since I built the jack on the fender and not as a sub-assembly, I got confused with the direction in which the handle had to be positioned. On the first picture the handle shows to the right, and that's how I glued it on, not realizing that the jack was already turned around. According to the second picture, the handle had to be attached showing to the left, and that's what I did wrong. My mistake, but it wouldn't have happened if the instructions hadn't been packed with 47 parts in this one step. The ball MG comes in 6 parts plus ball and mantlet, 8 parts altogether. I like detail, but again these are too many parts. 3 parts less would have been possible if the MG itself had been 1 part, as well as the ball and mantlet, as well as parts number B47 and B51. It wasn't really fiddly, just too many parts in my opinion. The result looks great though. Here we have most parts for the center portion of the upper hull. I attached the handle onto the part on the bottom for just one reason. To show you that it'll be invisible when the main parts are glued together. There you go, it simply can't be seen. But it's getting even worse. Here you see the ball MG. And again with the top plate in place. All that's visible now will disappear when the turret is mounted. The gun blocks the view on the last visible bit. Back to the part count. 2 parts would have been enough for building the ball MG. Ball and mantlet plus the MG barrel. I find this most annoying. I could have spent 30 minutes on some important things instead of cleaning up and gluing hidden parts. I attached the vision block because it's clearly visible from the front. I don't know why, but I didn't like the kit's antenna at all. I had a feeling that the diameter is wrong. It simply looked too thick. So I made an antenna from a piece of steel string for guitar. Panzer 36 was in Bovington the same day. He took pics of the antenna of a Panzer III and confirmed my impression. The antenna I made should look alright on the tank. Here are a couple of pics of lower and upper hull buttoned up. No fit issues at all. A real nice build. Next thing to do was adding the extra armor. I only used the PE part for the top plate here. The plastic parts were nicely detailed and there was no reason to replace them with PE parts. After I painted the air intakes black, I attached the PE grills. There was nothing to do but just gluing them onto the openings. No bending or whatever required, so it was like mounting a plastic part. I painted the position light silver before priming. 5 more parts for the spare parts box in a closed cupola. The marked parts will be hidden after the gun is finished. 3 beautifully molded parts nobody really needs, only to make the other parts fit together. Here we have another problem with the instructions. The hinges E2 and E3 shall not be glued to G5. If you glue them, the barrel can't elevate. A tiny bit of information Dragon was not willing to share with us. I was lucky because I kinda knew it. This is not my first tank kit and I felt that these parts should be workable. Here you can see that part E12 shall be glued to E2 and E3. I added red arrows to emphasize it. If you glue the parts that way and you didn't glue the hinges to G5, the gun will be able to elevate. Part L14 won't be visible whether you leave the gun lock open or closed. This is another example for over-engineering. Not really bad, but the kit could do without that part. The instructions are not really precise, cause you might think you'd have to glue part L15 underneath L14. L15 is positioned in front of L14. Some pics of the gun assembly. And the turret with the commander's cupola. Part E6 has 7 large ejector pin marks that need to be removed if you want to show the turret's interior. Yes, even Dragon kits have parts like this. Fiddly parts day. I dropped this tiny part 3 times but I defeated the carpet monster. Here you can see where that tiny part sits. And I added wiring for the smoke grenade launchers. Next evidence of over-engineering. The turret lifting hooks come in 2 parts. 1 part would have been good enough. I dropped all those parts several times but I defeated the carpet monster again and again. Here you can see the final result of wiring the launchers. I used 1.mm copper wire to do that. The turret box or stowage bin needed some battle damage. Here I attempted reverse painting. I forgot to paint the area where the vision blocks are attached to first, so I painted all sides with a mixture of transparent blue and green. Then I painted flat white on top of it. I hope that the bluish sheen will be visible after all is painted up, but I'm not so sure about it. Last bit for this update is building the spare track links. Since the tracks are sided, Dragon molded the links for the left and the right hand side in 2 different shades of grey. This is something I really like because it makes life much easier. Nonetheless, I marked the backs with an L and an R. Putting the magic track links together was easy. A little bit of cleanup is necessary, but that's no big deal.